Morning. All right. I woke up this morning and I did what I normally do, which is I check notifications on things. I go through my social media and check notifications if people have questions or anything. And it's not like I get flooded with questions. I'm not some like popular guy. But point being, I check notifications. I'm kind of one of these people that I don't like when my email gets way too many unread messages and things like that. So wake up, I check notifications, and I also actually check Facebook and their news to see, what are some things that I think most people are reading and ingesting, not through their mouth, but through, through their eyes and their ears. And so I like to see just kind of what's going on or whatever. One of the things that came up was an article from USA Today, which I pulled it up here on my computer. And the title says, "How does the drug Ozempic and Wegovy help you lose weight?" So this is really fascinating to me because I know things like these two and semaglutide have been very common in conversations as far as fat loss or weight loss. And so it's really kind of piqued my interest. So I hope you're still there. I know it's already been a minute and a half and almost, and so I'm gonna try to go through this, but I have a feeling it's gonna be kind of long. As I started to read this, there were a lot of things that really popped up as red flags to me, and I wanna just go through a few of those. Might even watch a bit of the video and hear some of the things they're talking about. So that's the title of it. How does the drug in Ozempic and Wegovy help you lose weight? So they want to go through and try to, I feel like almost comfort you in the fact that there are these drugs that help you lose fat and they're okay. That's kind of what this is making me feel. The very first line, it says, "Doctor calls this the golden age of treating obesity as more medications that are safe and effective become available." There's a lot in that sentence that if you, I, I don't want to say gullible because that sounds really negative, but if you don't have, some background as far as health and fitness, I think you read that and you go, wow, that sounds very reassuring. Like, why would I not trust this? Doctor, okay, here's a person who's gone through a lot of schooling and who should understand the human body. And so this is somebody that, I should trust. But it just says doctor. I don't know who this person is. Just because somebody went to school and got a degree doesn't mean anything, right? I went to school, I got my degree in education, elementary education. That doesn't mean that my very first year, all of a sudden, I'm a great teacher and I know what's going on. In fact, that was easily that was my worst year. But the more that I worked on my craft and researched and studied on my own, as well as professional developments, you get better, right? So hopefully this doctor, whoever this person is, I don't know who they are, hopefully they're staying up to date on research, they're reading through studies, and they know what's going on. So for them to say this, that doesn't really earn any trust with me because I don't know who this person is. Doctor calls this the golden age of treating obesity as more medications that are safe and effective become available, which are also terms that make me feel like, hey, this is something that should work. This is great, right? Those are very reassuring terms. This article was written on February 23rd, 2023 by A. Pulowski. Don't know that person either, so I'm not bashing this person necessarily, but I am questioning some of the things that they say and they talk about. Dr. Cosbuzza, safe and effective, they're very subjective terms. Just because somebody says it's safe doesn't mean it's safe. There's plenty of people who go skydiving every single day and call that safe. And there's other people who would look at that and go, that doesn't seem safe to me. Like, that seems really dangerous. So very subjective terms, right? And effectiveness, sure, it's going to be effective in making you lose weight. These drugs are very effective in making you lose weight. The other thing I think they're going to be really effective at is creating other deficiencies in your body because all they're doing is suppressing your hunger. So what you're also probably going to have to take a really close look at is still looking at the things that you're ingesting, making sure you're ingesting enough of something in order to reap the nutritional benefits of foods, which is what we should be doing already. Regardless of how much we're eating, we should be maximizing the nutritional benefits of what we eat. Now, that doesn't mean we don't eat junk food, because I had a burger last night and some chicken strips and they were delicious. But the rest of my day was also filled with some fruits and vegetables and some, fiber and all that stuff, and some whole grains and things like that. And so, I think these drugs are going to be effective in creating nutritional deficiencies as well, because you're not going to be eating very much. One of the things that it says kind of at the beginning is it calls this an anti-obesity drug. Anti-obesity. And as we know, obesity and, overweight and things like that, that's definitely become a problem in our country. So, sure, I guess maybe an anti-obesity drug. The problem is, and even going into the second paragraph of this article, it names a specific person, right, which is really important in an article because you want to have a representative and get to know this person. So they name the person, they give the age. It says she wanted to stop the snacking and binge eating that contributed to her obesity and eat less. Now, that's interesting, because that means what that says to me is she's still going to eat the same things, just less of those things. That's a problem. That's a problem already. But diets didn't work, and she didn't want to go the weight loss surgery route. Diets didn't work. What diets? And again, that's another thing that I find interesting, because diet is so subjective. It doesn't mean that you did all the things that you actually could have done. Now, I'm going to kind of cut to what I feel like is almost kind of a conclusion, because I know this has already gone on for a while. But what I see as being the main issue is not the obesity itself. It has to do with the relationship with food. That's the problem. And if we were to go ahead and play the video, they follow three different women and kind of what they did with this drug and how they were affected by it. And in every single case, these women tried this drug for a certain amount of time. One actually gained weight with the drug, which I'm not sure how that happened. But two, they lost weight. And then when they came off of the drug, I shouldn't put that in quotations, it's a drug, because it alters your body. But after they came off of it, they gained more weight. Now, here's why that happens. All this drug does is it stops a signal to create hunger. Okay, so all it does is basically goes, hey, it's cool, you're not hungry right now. Don't worry about it. And in one example, it talks about how this lady was eating like 10 chicken wings. And when she got on the drug, she was able to limit that to 3 chicken wings. Okay, again, that's your relationship with food. So oh gosh, even in these examples, it's you ate junk. Okay, good. Now you can eat less junk and still lose weight. What we need is to change the relationship with food, because as soon as they came off the drug, they went right back to doing the things that they did originally, which caused them to gain the weight, which I've heard before. Oh, well, this is what happens with a lot of diets. That's because your relationship with food is not based on health. It's based on what I like doing and what I like eating. Or maybe sometimes it's health, but then all of a sudden for 3, 4, 5 days, you start doing this binge situation where you're eating just things that you enjoy. Now, if you're okay with that, then that's fine. But it's leaning on these things. And personally, to me, to shove the responsibility off on something else and not change that relationship with food, that's where the change needs to happen. So personally, I think that instead of going this route, I think that seeing a therapist that can look at this from a psychological standpoint, I think would be a really good idea, or like a counselor or something. I don't even know how that works, but from my my experience and reading these articles and seeing these types of things and having lots of conversations and just being around, health and fitness in general and diets and things, it has a lot to do with your relationship with food and your opinions and thoughts on food. So at one point in this video, this lady says, on the drug, I looked at a bag of Doritos and they just weren't appealing to me. And it was like if I was going to try to eat it, it would be like eating a bag of socks. It's like, okay, well, that's interesting. Well, whether you're on a drug or you're not on a drug, if you can change your mindset that bag of chips is just as appealing as a bag of socks, that's what you need to be doing. That's what you need to focus on. So I think just be really careful with stuff like this. I actually, when I post this, YouTube or whatever, I will try to post this article along with it. If you have questions, if you have concerns or anything at all, put it in the comments. But after reading through the whole thing, I felt like this is trying to make these drugs okay. And to be honest, I don't, this Novo Nordisk is the one that sells Ozempic and makes Ozempic. If you look at their stock ticker, their stock trades at $140 a share or something like that. Like, it's crazy. That's insane to me. Ford, which is a very common company in stock, they share at like $12 right now. So when you're talking about like the size and the wealth of these companies, it's pretty out of control. Now I'm not going to go on a whole rant here. Let me just finish this up. But my point being, don't feed into this. Don't read this and see this and think that, hey, you know what? This is my route. This is where I need to go. This is a complete last ditch effort for you. And I think looking at the way that you see food and the relationship that you have with food is most important. Talking about these things and what you should be buying and what you should be making, reteaching yourself on how to cook and how to prepare food. Those are all things that we need to be looking at and doing. Not reading an article and going, hey, you know what? Yeah, which one should I go with? Ozempic or Wegovy or SEMAGLUTIDE? Either way, these are injections. You're injecting yourself with this stuff once a week. Changing your body and how it reacts to food. Still eating junk, creating other deficiencies, vitamin E, vitamin D, vitamin C, still cholesterol. So if you're eating 3 chicken wings versus 12 chicken wings, you're still going to have issues with high blood pressure, high cholesterol. So your fat might decrease, but your blood's still going to be thick with all this stuff. Changing the relationship with food, understanding what a clean diet or a healthier diet, a balanced diet, and adding in some resistance training and being active through the day, that's what needs to happen. That's what has to happen. Okay? You have to change your relationship with food. You have to think of food as a necessity, not as just a luxury. I think so often we do that. We wake up in the morning and go, what do I want for breakfast? What am I feeling like? I think that's good some of the time. But most of the time we need to look at food as, this is something that's fueling my body for the rest of the day. And what am I doing today that I need this fuel for? Okay. Protein is for muscle. Retaining it, building it, it's for muscle. Carbs is short-term energy. What am I going to be doing in the next hour or couple of hours, and what carbs do I need in order to fuel me for that? It could be a banana, it could be 200 grams of rice, it could be a lot of different things. Okay, there's a lot of different things as carbs. And your fats are long-term energy. So you really don't need a lot of that. You don't. Now, you can manipulate that so that your body is using your fats even in kind of short term. So you could go low carb and slightly elevated fats, but I see a lot of people who are okay with eating a lot of fats and they don't see a huge fat change in their body composition, but that's just because that's how energy works. Me personally, the best way for me to approach diet, high protein, uh, moderate carbs, and moderate fats. And if I am trying to lean out more, I decrease my carbs a little bit and I decrease my fats a little bit. And I just increase activity slightly. Other than that, it's as simple as that. Questions, comments? Let me know.